as you guys know, like, the cruising life seems like it's all glory and fabulous all the time, but it really isn't. I had to replace my batteries when I was in Antigua 6 months ago, and I don't have money. Like, money's the thing that the old rich people have, and the young people, we don't have such things. So I went out and I replaced my batteries with the absolute cheapest lead-acid batteries that I could possibly find. Wildchild is divided. I've divided the battery banks, the solar system, and the charging into different sections. There's one set of batteries and banks to run the boat for comfort. There's one set of batteries to run the boat for sailing. And then there's a set of batteries and charging just to run the refrigeration. There's two systems. There's a fridge compressor and a freezer compressor. They each are DC and they only draw 2 amps DC. But it's so hot down here that the freezer basically has to run all the time, 24/7. So the duty cycle on the refrigeration batteries has been very hard and very heavy because it's the biggest energy consumption on the boat, and it's a constant draw. It's killed the batteries. These lead-acid batteries are 6 months old. They are completely dead. They won't hold a charge. Yesterday, I killed myself removing a battery by myself, and they're heavy. Got it in my dinghy, got it to the Budget Marine. They tested it. No, I go, oh, this battery is super dead. The 100 amp hour batteries won't hold 10 amps of energy. Like, they're not delivering or holding at all. At night, as soon as I lose the solar energy, which I showed you, and the compressor turns on, the voltage in the battery bank goes from 12.8, and I watch it, and under 3 amps of draw, the voltage in 2 Type 32 batteries, so 200 amp hours of batteries, the voltage goes from 12.8, 12.5, 12.3, 12.2, 11.9, 11.5, 11.3, 11.1, 11, 10.8, 10.7, and then the compressor kicks out because there's not enough energy. They just can't even deliver 2 amps of energy for 10 minutes. It sucks for me because batteries are unbelievably flippin' expensive in the Caribbean. So, you know, a cheap lead-acid marine battery back in Canada would be 109 Canadian dollars, 140 Canadian dollars maybe. Down here, they're 400 Canadian dollars for the exact same battery. And for my refrigeration, which is heavy duty cycle, they didn't last 6 months. So today I am in the unfortunate position that I have to go spend money that I don't have on credit cards about to expire to replace the refrigeration bank batteries. I really cannot cheap out on them this time. I really do have to go AGM because the duty cycle and the demands of the refrigeration in the super hot boat in the Caribbean is so high that the cheapo batteries just didn't last. They just couldn't keep up. They couldn't handle the load. Now the exciting news is, although I did get heat stroke yesterday, I went to visit my friends in the boatyard and they did give me 2 solar panels. So I'm going to today, without passing out in heat, I'm going to test and rearrange the solar panels that I have lined around the cockpit, identify the dead one, remove it, put in these 2 bigger, better, more power solar panels, increase the energy production of my boat, and install 2 new AGM batteries for the refrigeration system. The 2 biggest problems that I have to deal with this, though, is that it is going to be so unbearably hot I can't function without getting heat stroke and passing out. And the second one is these new AGM batteries, like, I could barely lift the old lead-acid batteries, and the AGMs are heavier. I am not physically strong enough to lift these AGM Type 32 batteries by myself, and I have to get them from the Budget Marine into the dinghy, from the dinghy onto the boat, from the boat I have to get them into the cockpit, in the cockpit I have to get them down in the engine room, in the engine room I have to maneuver them in a very tight, crowded space and drop them in the battery boxes and then electrically hook them up. And the engine room is more hot than inside the boat, which is already going to be well above body temperature. It's so hot and heavy and hard work and expensive work and work that I shouldn't be needing to do, but it's just boat life in the tropics. Like, it's just so flippin' hot that the refrigeration is just killing itself to keep the freezer frozen. Like, I don't even keep my fridge very cold, but to keep the freezer frozen, it just takes so much energy. Another improvement to Wild Child in my attempt to fight off the ever-present heat is I was able to get a tarp from Boat Mom and Dad, and I was able to tarp over my boom to try to shade the deck of the boat and some of the cockpit. The less sunlight that touches your deck, the less heating you get. It's what all the other boats do, and it is remarkably effective. Like, it does increase the breeze and get the temperature down a few degrees, and when it's this hot, every degree matters. Okay, so that took a while because they did not have 2 charged batteries and I had to wait for them to charge up. I'm back on Wild Child. Now the big question is, how does a girl who's not quite as strong as a man get 2 very heavy, very expensive batteries that she just bought from the dinghy onto the boat and into the engine room when I'm not strong enough to lift either battery? So watch the magic. And next, for the really hard part, is these ridiculously heavy things have to somehow get down into the engine room and placed into the battery boxes way over there. And it's a rather tight fit. And the fun part is, I'm not strong enough to lift the batteries, so, you know, we're gonna see how this goes. So, hey Lexi, I thought you were installing batteries. What are you doing at your workbench with your Dremel tool and your drill? Well, here's a pile of stupidity for you. The new AGM batteries, the positive terminal post is much bigger and thicker than all the previous batteries I've ever owned. So thick that even, like, you know, a 2-gauge wire crimp end doesn't fit into the like a 2-gauge fitting doesn't fit on the stupid posts. And so, you know, dumbass engineers decide bigger, better, more power, but fuck you. So unfortunately, the ends that you can get, like, you know, standard connector ends, I don't have any that are even close to fitting on. So what I have to do is I have to modify these ones, and I have to make the holes in them bigger to be able to accommodate the gigantic bolt that they put on these new freaking batteries. So basically, I need to manufacture my own wide ring wire connectors to fit this stupid new battery posts. So stupid. Like, every little thing has to be as hard as possible. Okie dokie, just to show you guys Lexi in the hole. How beautiful is that? I know it's batteries, it's not so exciting to you, but back here in the back is my 2 newly installed AGM, ridiculously expensive, like 700 Canadian dollars per battery, 500 US dollars per battery, AGM.